Before we get to all the sports and the Jets and the Chiefs, let me just say I feel your pain. Tiki does not feel your pain because he's in Chicago, and I assume it's beautiful outside in Chicago.
It is gorgeous. Woke up on Lake Michigan this morning. It was amazing. Sun was shining. And then my wife called me at 6:30 in the morning saying, our basements are going to flood.
Yeah.
It's a chaos going on around here.
So
first I checked on she was safe, and then I said, I'm glad I'm in Chicago.
And so from here on out, as a rule for all of us, you will not mention again how nice the weather is in Chicago. That's
I will not at all.
Banned from the show. But there is a state of emergency in New York City, in Westchester County. So be careful and be smart. I've been on these roads. It took me about 2.5 hours to get to New York City today from Westchester County. It is what it is. It's a disaster. So if you're at home right now, stay there. Don't leave. I sound like I'm the mayor, except you probably trust me more. The one thing I don't know, and maybe you can help me out here, Tiki, is both the mayor and the governor said, hey, we have a state of emergency. And whenever I hear that, I always say, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
I think it's for resources. I think it's for them to be able to command different monies to bring out aid and things of that nature. So to me, I think it's a money thing. It's obviously important that everybody adhere to what you're talking about. Stay at home. Don't go on the roads. It's very dangerous. Everything is flooding. But I think it's mostly if something should go really awry, they can request money from the government, the federal government.
Does that mean like we're going to spend more money on our infrastructure in this city so the subways don't constantly flood if we get too much rain?
That's what they should do.
Oh, okay.
If they're gonna call states of emergency for the consistent, it's been pretty persistent rains that we've gotten. I mean, there's been at least 3 of these over the last 4, 5, 6 months or so where it's a deluge and everybody's worried about flooding.
Believe it or not, I did a list this morning. I listed the wettest months in the history of New York City, and September of 2023, which finally ends in 2 days, 5th wettest month in the history of New York City. How about that?
Wow.
True story.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. See, sometimes my lists matter to the people out there, but be careful.
I'm a loser.
It is so bad outside. It is flooded. I can't even tell you the different routes I took to work today, and I only did that because I am so committed to this radio show that I was going to drive through puddles to make sure I was here. But for everybody out there, be careful. It sucks. The Islander-Ranger game was already postponed. It's a preseason game. The Met-Phillies game tonight at Citi Field has already been postponed. That's a meaningless game that'll be made up on a doubleheader tomorrow. And luckily, the rain's going to stop at some point tomorrow, which is amazing. We're going to have to deal with another full day of this. And then apparently after it stops tomorrow, early afternoon, depending on where you are, we are going to get the favor returned with some beautiful, gorgeous weather. So be careful out there in New York City. With that said, Tiki's learning a lot about me over these last few weeks and months. Mm-hmm. And what he learned about me last week is that sometimes I can be really, really, really negative. Because all week I feared what inevitably happened, and that was the Jets losing to the New England Patriots. But I'm not consistently a negative guy. There are times in which I'm positive. There are times in which I believe. Sometimes you'd say, I get why you believe, and sometimes it's irrational. As this week has gone on, and more people have decided to open up their mouth in opining about this football game, and the more I've heard about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and the more the defense has heard about how easy this is going to be for the Kansas City Chiefs, the more I sit here now on a Friday afternoon, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, as maybe a delusional fan, the more I think they can win this freaking football game. Tiki,
How?
Glad you asked. I'm not going to mention the name of the quarterback because the quarterback's not going to be the reason. Like, I'm not under some fantasy that the playbook's going to be opened up and Zach's going to throw for 400 yards and we're going to see something we've never seen from him. I'm not under that delusion. Here's the delusion I may be under. This defense can be really, really good.
Of course.
It can be.
Yeah, we know all the pieces. We've seen it at times. Saw it most of last season. Saw it early against the Buffalo Bills. But there's been others where they have not looked so great.
Correct.
Dallas Cowboys, They didn't look fantastic, obviously. And so you just wonder what you're going to get. And it's obviously complementary, right? What the offense does matters. They can't be 3 and out. They can't, force them to play 80 plays in a game. And ultimately, no matter how good they are, they just get worn out. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. The defense should be one of the best in football. But the circumstances that allow them to do that aren't always clean, if that makes sense.
Well, this is a defense that, look, the biggest critique I can lay down on them over the last 9 weeks, going back to last year, is while at times they keep offenses off the board, like they did last week against New England, they don't force enough turnovers. And I've seen this Kansas City team turn the ball over 6 times in 3 games. That's what I've seen. I've seen a Chief team that's been sloppy. I saw a Chief team that was winning 7-6 at halftime against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is not crazy. In fact, I would actually tell you it's the likeliest scenario that we're sitting around at halftime and we've watched an ugly first half that's close.
Yeah.
Like some of the talk over the week, and I want you to play this one clip, Loogie, because this one really pissed me off. I don't know why. I don't know why this talking head comment actually annoyed me in talking about Jets Chiefs, because here's the thing. We all know Zach Wilson's terrible. I haven't even mentioned his name other than to say I'm not going to talk about him. We know the offense is flawed. But I think sometimes people forget that this was a Super Bowl contender prior to the Aaron Rodgers injury. So if you ever thought they were a Super Bowl contender, how is it possible as a former player you go on TV and say this about Jets Chiefs?
It is the most foregone conclusion in the history of sports that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come in with Taylor Swift and win. And by the end, Travis Kelce is going to be making goo-goo eyes at the sweep. And it's not going to be to Donna. It's going to be to Taylor. And it's going to be in like the middle of the third because it's going to be over.
It's going to be over. It's the biggest foregone conclusion in the history of sports. I respect the guy who said that. I do. I think he knows a lot about football, and I think he's really good at what he does. But he said something stupid because I've seen bigger upsets in the history of sports and in the NFL frequently. I've seen much bigger upsets than the Jets beating the Chiefs on a Sunday night. What, are we new around here? Like, upsets don't happen in the NFL, especially, Tiki, with a defense that while, yes, it needs to force turnovers, they need to sack the quarterback. We know their flaws. This is not a Swiss cheese defense. To act like the Jets have absolutely no shot, shut the game off, what a waste of time. It'd be the biggest upset in NFL history. Tiki, that's crazy.
Well, come on. You got to, first of all, understand what Ryan Clark is trying to do here. He's trying to make a headline. He's trying to get you, the Jet fan, and every other Jet fan, upset about this so that they react, you all react, you interact in some way, and you draw more attention to his asinine statement. He played for a long time, Ryan Clark.
I know.
He knows that anything can happen.
Does he?
Yes, he knows that Zach Wilson has been struggling. It's going to be a grind for him because, by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is not horrible, right? It's not like they're one of the worst in the league. So they're good. Their offense can be dominant when they're clicking on all cylinders. But you're right. Sometimes they don't click on all cylinders. It's you can frustrate them if you take away what they do best. So, you know, some of the trick plays and the deep shots that they do. So anything can happen. But to suggest the guy shouldn't show up, I mean, that's just to rile you up.
Well, it
that's
worked.
the only reason that Ryan Clark said that. And it worked, so give him credit.
It works because
But he doesn't believe it. I mean, he knows. You play the game, anything can happen. He doesn't believe that. He did that for a specific purpose, and you took the bait, hook, line, and sinker.
I have been triggered. I have been provoked.
100%.
I'm not only provoked because, hey, it's the NFL, crazy things can happen, as we talked about last week with Giants-Niners, and for a few minutes, maybe you thought crazy things could happen. The reason this also pisses me off is as much as I've said bad things about this head coach and about this offense, and yeah, we've been critical about where the defense needs to get better. The idea that this team has now turned into a Swiss cheese team that are going to be blown out and embarrassed on Sunday Night Football when 3 weeks ago, maybe not by everybody, but by a lot of people, we viewed them as a contender. You're really telling me that they have gone from all the way up there to a team that's going to lose 42-3 on Sunday Night Football? I mean, I think we're just overreacting to how bad the offense is, and it is bad.
Yeah, well, I think what we all know is that if Zach doesn't execute, Zach Wilson doesn't execute, and it's 3 and out after 3 and out, or turnover after turnover, the Kansas City Chiefs are the perfect team to take advantage of that. Right? They will bury you if you're a mistake-riddled team. Now, they don't have a ton of turnovers. I think they only have one or maybe even two. I think it's just one interception on the season. They get after the quarterback. They're a top-ranked defense, but a lot of that is because of the opponents that they played. And so I think that, ultimately the Jets have a shot, but if it doesn't happen early, it could get ugly, as Ryan is suggesting.
Well, look, it can get ugly if they turn the ball over. Absolutely. If Zach Wilson is asked to do more than he's capable of, which is basically everything, then yeah, of course, this game could turn that way. But this defense talked a very big game before the season started. DJ Reed specifically, we all remember what he said and what historical defense he wanted to compare the Jets to. Well, here's the thing for DJ Reed and CJ Mosley and Quinnen Williams and Quincy Williams and Sauce Gardner and everybody on this defense. If you want to be elite, if you want to be considered one of the top defenses, not only this year but ever, well, what better opportunity? It's Sunday night. It's MetLife Stadium. Forget Travis Kelce for a second. It's the best quarterback on the planet in Patrick Mahomes. It's the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. If this defense wants to show and wants to shut up people like Sean, who said, hey, last year, all they did was shut down bad quarterbacks. Which is a critique.
Yeah.
Okay.
An accurate one.
Here's their moment. Here's the moment for the Jet defense, and that's how they win this game. That's how they keep this game close. I'm not under delusions that this Jet offense is all of a sudden going to find a way. I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah.
But what I am suggesting is if this defense is even 80% as good as they think they are, this is the night and this is the moment where you prove it to everybody. And they did that against Buffalo. And you want to just say it's Josh Allen's fault? Whatever. They did it against Buffalo. Now, for the first time in how many years does this franchise played a Sunday night game, this defense, Tiki, has a chance to prove they're damn good by sending a message to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, that's all you can ask for is the opportunity, right? They know what the questions are now forming around them after their last two losses. They know that they need to be the support system. And so much of the talk this week, we heard it from Rich Cimini and others talking about how the locker room is starting to divide and the defense is getting, upset with Zach Wilson and the offense because he's not being held accountable. All those things that we've talked about. But at the end of the day, they still have pride. They still want to be the best. And even if their offense isn't going to hold their weight, I feel like it's early enough in the season that a defense still believes that we can be the team. We can be the catalyst to help win. Like, we can go get interceptions. We can go get turnovers. Hell, if we got to score on defense, we'll score on defense. I mean, I've been on teams like that where the defense starts to take ownership of the scoring side of it as well. And so because it's still only week 4, right? We're not in week 12 where, things are helpless or hopeless, so to speak. This is week 4. There's still an opportunity for this defense and really this offense to grow into whatever the ceiling is going to be. But it's hard to, from the outside, look at this team and say, man, they have a shot against the best team in football, the defending Super Bowl champions. But of course they do. It's because it's too early. We don't know what any of these teams in the NFL are. We don't know what the good ones we do. Maybe Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions we do, right? I guess Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs we do. But the Jets are still undefined. Right? We don't know what they're going to become in the next couple of weeks.
Right, but if you ever thought, Tiki, that this defense had a chance to be top 5, top 3, or dare I say elite, if you ever thought that, then of course they have a chance. Of course they have a chance.
Well, I mean, this is they have to prove it, right? They can't have the letdown game in this game, right? You could have it against, I don't know, say the Chargers maybe, or maybe the Raiders. You could have it, but against the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the game you get ready. This is the one you've circled.
Well, this is
at
your
the beginning
chance.
of the season.
This is your chance if you're Sauce Gardner to become the household name.
Yes.
Because even while, though, the Chiefs don't have that number 1 wide receiver that scares you, and that's what's so funny about Kansas City. Outside of Travis Kelce, you look at the talent at skill position, and it's underwhelming, which is a testament to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. But if you're Sauce Gardner and you get that pick 6 that turns this game early, this is your chance to become that household name. So what I question to just about everybody, maybe not people like Sean who never believed in the Jets, so I'm not even mad at you.
I picked them last week, but okay.
Whatever. That was just to fangle my, what. That's all you did. Finagle, whatever the word is.
I believe what you want, but okay.
If you ever believed this team was capable of being really good, a part of why you thought that was because of this defense. And while I admit through 3 weeks, they what the bet against Dallas. They were good against New England, but couldn't force a turnover or get a sack.
Yep.
And they did their job, especially in the second half against Buffalo. If you still believe this defense can be that good, then you're damn right they have a chance. Of course they have a chance.
No, these are opportunities. This is what you play for. And especially early when there's still belief. The season's not nearly close to being away from you, despite all of the negative rhetoric around this Jets team. And again, most of that, by the way, is on the offense. We're not talking about this defensively. They've had 2 out of the 3 performances have been damn good, the New York Jets defense. This is their big opportunity.
Where this can get really, really ugly is if I'm right. I'm right that the Jet defense keeps them in the game. I'm right that Sauce Gardner has a pick 6 early. I'm right that Patrick Mahomes is frustrated by this Jet pass rush. I'm right about that. And the Jets maybe even have a first-half lead. Or even not. Maybe it's 6-3. Maybe it's 9-6. Maybe it's like the Jaguar game and it's 7-6 at the half. I haven't said a damn word about this quarterback because I don't believe in him. I don't. I think their only chance to win is a dominant defensive performance and a run game that finally clicks. But if their offense continues to struggle and their defense is playing lights out against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs, and this head coach doesn't try something at halftime, and that means a quarterback change, then this could be the moment where the room explodes. Because if this defense steps up against the Kansas City Chiefs and their head coach continues to stand there and says, we believe in the quarterback, and no one in that room actually does, and they lose again at the hands of an offense that's inept, then the room is done. Then we know this will be the moment where the room is done. Because if the defense keeps them in this game against the defending, reigning Super Bowl champions, and this offense continues to be limp without the coach moving a damn finger or trying anything, then Tiki, room explodes. Am I right?
Yeah. No, well, yes. I think this would be the week that it would happen. This would be the week that you start to hear the chirping. Now we've heard it behind the scenes. We've heard it maybe anonymously. We've heard it through whispers in the corners over at One Jet Drive in Florham Park. We've heard it not directly. You might start to hear it directly, and that's in the form of social media posts. That's in direct quote. It could get ugly if it turns ugly in this game. It really could, because I don't want to say they're at a tipping point, but it feels like this game, just like with the Giant game, even though it's a different scenario, but it feels like this is a critical juncture for this Jet team. And they don't even have to win. They just can't look terrible.
It's not going to snowball.
I can't explain sometimes why I talk myself into confidence. I really can't. Because sometimes I come in here like last week, and I think I frustrated you. I annoyed you. Because I kept going back to the losing streak against New England, and Bill will get the last laugh, and you tried to talk me off that ledge, and guess what?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be right, but I was right.
I'm
a loser.
It's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. Why do you want it to happen?
I don't.
It's like, but that's what it feels like.
So what's this week then, T?
This week you're playing the defending Super Bowl champions. This is a different scenario.
So why do I have confidence? Why am I sitting here at
because you're trying to fool yourself that the Swifties are going to negatively impact the Jets. By the way, it has nothing to do with anything. Exactly, it's nothing to do with anything.
I haven't mentioned them yet.
I know, but in your mind,
yes.
You're like, all right, they're going to be distracted. Pat Mahomes is talking about Travis Kelce's girlfriend and all these other nonsensical things. It's not going to matter.
Here's what it comes down to. The only thing I can think of on how somehow as this week has gone on, and it's happened slowly if you listen to the show a lot, very slowly I've started to kind of believe, because yesterday I brought up the Swift distraction. Mm-hmm. And today, maybe it was Ryan Clark triggering me. Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
But I have slowly moved into the territory of, holy crap, they're going to win this game.
He got you. That's what it is.
Oh, he got me.
Over.
Ryan got you.
He got me. But I think a part of why I believe is this last-ditch hope that this defense is exactly what they say they
so
are.
What happens if they don't? What if they have a tough day?
Who, the defense?
Yes.
I'm going to destroy them.
What if the defense has a tough day?
I'm going to destroy them. They're a bunch of frauds. then you know what? Watch this. If the Kansas City Chiefs put up 45, mostly on this defense, then Sean Morash is right. Because when Sean Morash says, hey, everything you did last year was against crappy quarterbacks, I always fight back with Josh Allen, with Aaron Rodgers. But outside of that, there's a lot of truth to what he said. Now, you have to beat what's on your schedule. Of
course.
So, and look, they knocked out Teddy Bridgewater. The Jet defense did. But if they come out and they are not what I believe they can be and what they claim that they are, then they will prove the naysayers like Morash that last year's performance was a complete fraud performance. And they're not nearly as good as we think.
Good.
But guess what?
Not great.
You guys may be wrong.
Here's where.
What are you going to say?
I'm going to tell you right now where you're wrong. Do you know how many points combined the Jets have scored the last 2 weeks? And forget your defense for a second. 20.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have lost 4 games in the last calendar year of 12 months. All right?
Yeah.
In all of those games, the teams they lost to scored, the 4 games, at least 20 points. Okay? So you can wave the pom-poms about the defense all you want. They could be an elite defense and still give up 21 points to Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback on the planet. You could talk yourself in circles with this defense. The bottom line is this. If the offense ain't making plays or the defense ain't getting 2 scores, you got no shot. Because the Chiefs don't lose games, period, if you can't put 20 on the board, and the Jets have combined done that in the last 2 games.
We'll get to your calls next, 877-337-6666.